Alexander the Great and the Fountain of Youth. He conquered empires, dethroned kings, stood unchallenged before the ancient world. But Alexander the Great wanted more. He wanted eternity. According to Persian and Arabic legends, Alexander sought the Fountain of Life, a mythical spring said to grant eternal youth. His journey took him beyond the edges of known civilization, into the land of darkness, a place so cursed that even sunlight feared to enter. Only those destined by fate could find the waters of immortality. Guided by cryptic texts and omens, Alexander followed rivers that disappeared underground, crossed scorching deserts, and questioned prophets and madmen. His obsession burned brighter than any crown. He believed he was no mere mortal. He was chosen. But fate had other plans. His companion, Al-Khidr, was said to have found the spring and gained immortality. Alexander, he died at just 32. The man who conquered half the known world couldn't conquer death. Qin Shi Huang, the emperor who swallowed mercury and killed the messenger. Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China, was terrified of death, so much so that he outlawed any mention of it in court. If you even talked about dying, you'd be executed. One day, he saw graffiti predicting his death. Enraged, he launched a manhunt for the culprit. No one was caught, so he had everyone nearby executed. Enter Xu Fu, a mysterious figure who promised the emperor immortality via an elixir of life hidden on a magical island across the Eastern Sea. Qin funded the journey, but Xu Fu vanished. The island? A fantasy. Still desperate, Qin turned to potions containing liquid mercury, believing they'd grant eternal life. Instead, they poisoned him. He died at 49, still searching. Genghis Khan, the secret to eternal war. Genghis Khan's legacy spans continents, but the mystery of his death may be his final conquest. While the Mongol warlord never claimed to seek immortality outright, whispers from his court say otherwise. In his later years, Khan sought wisdom from Taoist sages, shamans, and wandering mystics. He demanded formulas for eternal strength. He ingested exotic concoctions, crushed pearls, bear gallbladders, deer antler dust, and snake venom, all blended into strange tonics believed to enhance the soul. Temples were built, sacrifices made. Legends tell of rituals involving celestial alignments and sacred mountain herbs plucked at midnight. He wasn't just trying to live forever, he was trying to transcend. And then, he vanished. His death remains a secret. Soldiers killed every witness. The funeral procession erased itself. His tomb is so well hidden that satellites, drones, and archaeologists have found nothing. Not a trace. Did he truly die? Or did he succeed in becoming immortal through legend? Nicholas Flamel, the alchemist of eternal fame. A humble scribe turned alleged immortal. Nicolas Flamel, a 14th century Parisian, has become the poster child for alchemical immortality. He wasn't born into wealth or nobility, yet Flamel allegedly discovered the Philosopher's Stone, a mythical object capable of transmuting metals into gold and granting eternal life. His discovery, it's said, came from deciphering an arcane text known as the Book of Abraham the Jew, a grimoire filled with indecipherable symbols and coded formulas. Soon after, Flamel's wealth soared. He and his wife appeared ageless. They built shelters for the poor, donated to churches, and never seemed to age. Skeptics questioned. Believers whispered. When his tomb was opened centuries later, it was empty. No remains, no explanation, just stories. Some claim he still walks among us, quietly watching from the shadows. The alchemist who turned legend into life. Diane de Poitiers, beauty preserved by gold. Diane de Poitiers was the king's mistress, but she looked like a goddess. Her beauty stunned the French court, her skin flawless, her body ageless. Behind her glow was a dark secret. She drank liquid gold. Advised by alchemists who believed gold purified the body and soul, Diane mixed gold chloride into her elixirs. She bathed religiously, ate like a monk, and exercised daily. She radiated health, but inside her body was a ticking time bomb. When modern scientists exhumed her body, they discovered her bones were saturated with toxic levels of gold. Her internal organs likely deteriorated slowly. Her stunning appearance had a price, a high one. Diane wasn't just a beauty icon, she was a medical mystery, a cautionary tale shimmering with tragedy. Pope Innocent VIII, the blood of the innocents. In 1492, as Pope Innocent VIII lay on his deathbed, his physicians turned to a horrifying solution: They bled 3 young boys said to be no older than 10, and infused the dying pope with their blood. This grim experiment was inspired by the writings of Marsilio Ficino, who had proposed that youthful blood could replenish the aging body. The logic was deeply flawed, but tragically common in Renaissance medicine. If youth was vitality, then its essence, blood, could perhaps be transferred. While some suggested mixing it with honey or wine, Pope Innocent's doctors chose a direct method. All 3 boys died. So did the Pope. His attempt at stealing youth through sacrificial science became the first known blood transfusion in history, and a grisly failure. It set a disturbing precedent for centuries of experimentation in the name of immortality. Medieval doctors and usnea, lichen of the dead. In the graveyards of medieval Europe, strange rituals unfolded. Doctors and apothecaries sought out usnea, a mossy lichen that grew on skulls and bones. They believed it held curative powers, especially against bleeding, seizures, and even the plague. They called it the moss of the skull, claiming it had absorbed the essence of the dead. Apothecaries dried and ground it into powder, mixing it into tinctures and potions. For the desperate and the dying, it became a miracle cure. But what was it really? A fungus thriving on rot and decay, more superstition than science. Still, in a world ravaged by disease, people turned to the dead for answers, believing that death itself held secrets for defying mortality. In the end, usnea was a symbol of how far the living would go to stay alive, and how easily fear can be mistaken for wisdom. Egyptian mummies powdered immortality. Between the 12th and 17th centuries, Europe developed an eerie obsession, consuming the dead. Physicians, nobles, and even artists sought out mumia, a dark powder made from crushed Egyptian mummies. Thought to hold ancient energy and healing powers, mumia was prescribed for everything from headaches to impotence. Apothecaries marketed it as a panacea, and nobles stirred it into wine or mixed it with honey. Artists even used mummy dust in their paints, believing it would imbue their work with spiritual power. Grave robbers looted ancient tombs, turning sacred burials into a grisly trade. In their quest for longevity, Europeans desecrated centuries of Egyptian history, all in the name of health. The dead became medicine. The sacred became commodified. It wasn't science, it was desperation masquerading as remedy. Ponce de León, the Spanish search for youth. Juan Ponce de León wasn't just a conquistador. He was a dreamer chasing eternity. Fascinated by Caribbean legends, he sailed west in search of the Fountain of Youth, a spring said to restore life and heal all ailments. His journey led him to what is now Florida, where he explored swamps, rivers, and springs, interrogating locals for any signs of magical waters. But instead of eternal youth, he found resistance. Clashes with native populations grew violent. During one such encounter, Ponce was struck by a poison-tipped arrow and later died from the wound. He never found the fountain, but the myth endured. To this day, tourists flock to Florida's Fountain of Youth Archaeological Park, chasing echoes of a dream. Ponce de Leon's quest wasn't just about water, it was about hope, and how far we'll go to reclaim lost time. Erzsébet Báthory, the Blood Countess. In the cold corridors of a Hungarian castle, a legend took form. Erzsébet Báthory, one of the wealthiest noblewomen of her time, was accused of unspeakable crimes in the name of youth. Stories claim she bathed in the blood of virgins, believing it would keep her skin flawless and her beauty eternal. Her castle became a house of horror, where young girls were lured with promises of work and never seen again. Witnesses spoke of hidden rooms, iron maidens, and walls stained red. Servants confessed under torture, and the number of her alleged victims climbed into the hundreds. Yet some scholars argue it was all a conspiracy, engineered by political enemies eager to seize her land and fortune. Whether truth or myth, she was sentenced to life in isolation, bricked inside her tower until her death. Immortality eluded her, but her legend? It remains, forever chilling, forever young,